Hi all. There is this Egyptian myth of Isis and Osiris. Every time I'm always drawn towards it. I don't know why, but it really makes me feel something. I don't know. It gives me some kind of vibes. One thing which has to be known is that one, I don't believe in gods and goddesses. I believe that there is the Most High, and no one is a god, no one is a goddess. I also don't believe in the Trinity factor. I believe there is only one Creator, and all human beings are His servants. The myths that the Greek and the Egyptians hold, I had to learn them during university time, and that is something which we all need to learn in history. Knowing history is good in a way, because sometimes people get to know where they're coming from. And sometimes it's just myths which you just hear from person to person, all these generations and generations. Some are true, some are not, some are just made up. And there's a lot of confusion sometimes. But still human beings hold on to their own cultures, and they have beliefs and myths of their own. And I respect that. But for me, I don't believe in gods and goddesses. I don't believe that human beings can be gods or goddesses. I don't believe that I believe that human beings hold attributes of God, who is the Most High. They've been given those characters. They hold those characters and they live by those characters, but that does not make them God. There is this Christ consciousness. There are some people who believe that Christ really, or Jesus Christ, really lived, and there are some people who don't believe that Jesus Christ existed. By the way I've been brought up, I know that Jesus Christ existed. And I know this, and I believe this very strongly. I believe in prophets, I believe in angels, and I believe there are other deities, entities, whom we can't see. I believe that the Most High created creations in different forms. The animals, the trees, the rivers, the seas, and everything in this world. And He has made everything perfectly. I don't believe in the sun god or the moon god or the star gods and everything. All these are creations of the Most High. And everything else on earth is meant to worship the Most High. This is the kind of belief I have. But in particular, the Isis and Osiris, I'm always drawn to Egyptian myths, Egyptian history, and I sort of have it in the family as well. My family bloodline is full of so many things, so many cultures, and so many of my family members are scattered around the whole world. That there are people who we know as our relatives, and there are people who we don't know as our relatives. We just get to know them later on. But there is a rich combination of so many cultures in my family background. It's mostly leaning towards the eastern side of the world, the eastern culture. And Egypt is one of the cultures that is also in my family. Egypt is something I've always felt attracted to, and I always see Egypt in my dreams. But recently, I keep seeing the Isis and Osiris. I'm guided to look it up. I'm being guided to read the myth, the history. I've not been that much interested in looking up such kind of information. But I was guided to read it up and look it up, and I just looked at it briefly. The thing is, I was not prepared by how it was going to affect me, because I really feel like the story really shakes me. It's talking about gods and goddesses, something which I don't believe, but the story makes me feel sad. The story really makes me feel sad, and I don't know the real reason why. As I look up the information, I see most of it has Isis information mostly given out. Isis was, what was it? Egyptian Aset or Eset, one of the most important goddesses of ancient Egypt. Her name is the Greek form of an ancient Egyptian word for throne. For me, gods and goddesses is some kind of idolization, and I don't believe in that. Even people can idolize other human beings as idols and even idolize themselves as well. I don't believe in that. Isis and Osiris were married to one another, although they were brother and sister. They were the queen and king of ancient Egypt, respectively. Their other siblings, Seth and Nephthys, were also married to one another. Once Osiris, no, just all. There are stories that tell that Isis mourned her husband's death deeply when Isis's brother killed him. She recovered Osiris's body and buried him. Isis then used her great magic to give new life to Osiris. From then on, he was considered the ruler of the land of the dead, or underworld. Osiris was said to grant people life after death in the underworld. And that's according to the Egyptian myths. And then later on, Isis became pregnant through Osiris. And how did that happen? Once Osiris died, and the brother had broken Osiris into pieces, so many pieces. According to other narrators, it's 13 pieces, and he sent all the pieces around the Egypt area, all over Egypt. Osiris was made whole. Isis conceives his son and rightful heir, Horus. One ambiguous spell in the coffin text may indicate that Isis is impregnated by a flash of lightning. This sounds just like somebody could just easily say that it is just like Mother Mary conceiving Jesus Christ. While in other sources, Isis, still in bird form, fans breath and life into Osiris' body with her wings and copulates with him. That's interesting. With Osiris dead, Seth became king of Egypt with his sister Nephthys as his wife. Nephthys, however, felt sorry for her sister Isis, who wept endlessly over her lost husband. Isis, who had great magical powers, decided to find her husband and bring him back to life long enough so that they could have a child. That is the conceiving thing. And according to history or the myth told, Isis never died. She is an immortal goddess in Egyptian mythology. However, her brother Osiris was killed by their mutual brother Seth, also called Seth. He and Horus had an earthly father named Seb, which translates to Joseph. Right now, I'm sort of shocked and amazed because of the synchronicities of the numbers and the names. Because I always see this and I don't know. Let me look it up again. Wow, this is all so amazing kind of an information, which I don't know, I've never been interested in, but lately I'm drawn and guided to look it up. So question asked, is Jesus based on the ancient Egyptian god Horus? The way the god Horus has been explained, the way he has come to this world is almost just the same as how Jesus has been explained. Some people claim that Jesus is just a copycat of the ancient Egyptian god Horus. In Egyptian mythology, Seth is god of the earth and is never said to be the father of Horus. Seth was Osiris' father in some accounts, so there may be some mashup of these two facts. Seth doesn't translate to Joseph and is better translated as Geb. Now what's this? The Bible doesn't state the number of wise men. That's a song where they're known as kings. And there's also claims that there is no evidence or account of this person ever existing. The baptizer Anup. About Horus having 12 disciples. Several sources like Barbara Watterson in her book Gods of Ancient Egypt mentions Horus had 4 followers, but there are none that claim 12. Okay. Horus was meant to also have a lot of metal workers, so maybe this is where they are getting this from. As performing miracles, Horus did perform some miracles, they claim. There is no account of him walking on water. There is no account of him raising Osiris from the dead. Osiris stayed in the underworld and became god of the dead. Why are they referring to Osiris as El Osiris? El was never put in front of Osiris' name, as it doesn't function that way in the Egyptian language. And that's logical. Because according to Arabic language, when you put El, it means something like it's making something be in another position. And so many things, so many claims. And they're saying the first written evidence of deities in Egypt comes from the early dynastic period, Sarsa 3100 to 2686 before Christ. The first historical record of crucifixion was about 519 before Christ by the Persians. The legend of Horus was well established literally thousands of years before crucifixion was even a concept. And according to their own claims, some people, they're saying Jesus is clearly not a rewritten savior based on the ancient Egyptian god Horus. There is no original source evidence to land many of the claims a shadow of validity. These claims about Horus should be viewed as nothing more than a poorly put together hoax. Oh my God, people. Anyway, I was looking up the information of Isis and Osiris. I'd watched a documentary about it and I ended up being in tears. I don't know why. And today I felt like, let me look it up even more, and I'm finding out some more things which I didn't know before. About the Horus thing, the Sab thing, Geb or whatever. Yeah, there's a PDF file that's talking about Osiris and in Isis. Here goes the story of Osiris and Isis. A long time ago, the god Osiris came to Egypt to rule as king. He brought the Egyptian people new laws and taught them how to farm well and live peacefully in their villages. Osiris was a very wise and powerful king and was loved and respected by the Egyptian people. Unfortunately, his brother Seth was very jealous of his brother's power in Egypt and began to form a plan to kill Osiris and take over his throne. Late one night, Seth tiptoed into Osiris's bedroom, careful to not wake up Osiris or his queen, the goddess Isis. Seth measured Osiris's body from top to bottom and from side to side. The next morning, Seth took the measurements to a carpenter who made a beautiful wooden chest decorated with bright paint and sheets of gold. That night, Seth threw a huge party and invited Osiris as the guest of honor. The night was spent feasting, singing, dancing, and playing games. For the final game, Seth brought out the huge wooden chest. He announced that the first person to fit perfectly into the chest would be allowed to keep it. One by one, each of Seth's friends climbed into the chest, and surprisingly, no one was able to fit into the chest, which was made perfectly for Osiris. Finally, Seth and his friends convinced Osiris to try his luck with the chest. Osiris stepped into the chest and lay down. The chest fit him perfectly, just as Seth had planned. Just as Osiris lay down, Seth slammed the lid and sealed it shut. Seth and his friends took the chest down to the Nile River and dumped it in, knowing that Osiris would never be able to survive. When Isis heard the news of her husband's death, she was extremely upset. She rushed to the riverbank and after several days of searching found the wooden chest. Isis opened it and removed the dead body of her beloved Osiris. Crying, Isis hid Osiris's body in the river grass. She didn't want Seth to find Osiris's corpse before she could perform the proper rituals that would allow him to pass into the afterlife. Late that night, Seth returned to the Nile to make sure Osiris's body had washed away. The chest was nowhere to be found, but after searching the riverbank grass, he found the body of his late brother, Furious. Furious, Seth cut Osiris's body into 14 pieces. To make sure that the body was never found again, he hurled the pieces all over Egypt. The next morning, Isis returned to the river with her sister, Nephthys, and her friends to perform the necessary rituals, only to find Osiris's body gone. Isis transformed into a huge bird and flew high over Egypt. Using her sharp vision, she was able to find all the pieces of the body to put Osiris back together with the help of Nephthys, Thoth, and Anubis. Isis performed a great act of magic. Very carefully, they began to sew Osiris's body back together. They worked together night after night. When the body was whole once again, they wrapped it head to toe in strips of linen, creating a mummy. On the night of the full moon, Isis used powerful magic to bring her husband back to life. Osiris embraced Isis and thanked her sister and her friends. He told them he would not be able to stay in the world of the living. He explained that having died, he needed to travel to the world of the dead, where he would become the king of the afterlife. Before he left, Osiris told Isis not to worry. He told her that she would soon give birth to a son, Horus, who would defeat Seth and become a great protector of the Egyptian people. By taking back the throne from Seth, Horus would restore order and peace to the universe. When Horus was born, he was hidden away and kept safe from his evil uncle Seth. When he became of age, Horus finally confronted Seth and they violently fought. During the fight, Horus' left eye was poked out. But magically came to life. Later on, the word jet or eye of Horus became a powerful symbol to promote healing. Although Horus emerged victorious, there was still a large question of who legally had power to the throne. Seth believed that as Osiris's brother, he was the rightful ruler, but Horus argued that he should be proclaimed king, since he was Osiris's legitimate heir. Ultimately, it was decided that Horus would rule on earth as king. Seth was punished forever. And that's the end of the story. Well, that was interesting. The way they narrated that story is more logical in a way, but the magic things and everything, I don't know. But even that, it's interesting that I'm drawn towards this story, because I usually don't believe in such things. But Egypt is one of the most important pieces in my life. And I've never looked up this story, although I've heard of it, I've read about it some years back while still schooling, but I've never given it a thought. And lately I'm made to look it up. In fact, I'm just guided and forced to look it up. I don't know why. Here they're saying the worship of Isis spread from Egypt to Greece and then to the Roman Empire. The ancient Egyptians worshipped many gods. Isis and Osiris were two of the most important gods. Anyway, gods and goddesses, I don't believe in gods and goddesses, but I believe some characters used to live. There were some creations that used to have existed once upon a time. And human beings, as how they are, they usually, most of the time, they exaggerate over any kind of information which they have, and they always want to feel some kind of greatness. So most of the time they add salt and sugar to anything, whatever which is being given. And I believe this is one of the things that people, in order to feel their greatness or to make something look even more amazing or anything like that, they've added things. But surely there must have been somebody called Isis and Osiris. For Jesus Christ, it's there. It's been there for ages, and I believe it to be true. There is even another place where they are narrating the story. It's almost the same, but they've added some spicy things into the words of the narration. And right now, as I look up these things on my left ear, since these retrogrades, I've been feeling this pain. It's like a needle-like pain piercing behind my ear, and it's within, but it's also like it's pushing it out, like some kind of electrified something, and it's pushing outwards. But it's like a throb in my left ear. This happens every time I look up something which I'm guided to. I don't understand this. There was a time I had a dream. I can hardly remember the dream very well, but I was in Egypt, and I was at the pyramids, at the entrance of one pyramid. And one side were disbelievers, and on the other side were believers. On the side of the believers, there were all kinds of prophets who had lined up to fight the disbelievers. They were trying to enter the pyramid to reach the core. I don't know why. They were looking for some kind of power which is right in the middle of the pyramid. And the believers, which was composed of the prophets and all anointed people, they were there to stop them from entering into the pyramid, so that they won't get to the source of what they were looking for. And if I remember it very well, I don't know. There was a Jesus Christ character, and he was saying, "Look, can you see what they're trying to do?" And I could feel the anger and the anger towards those people for trying to do malice and trying to do some evil kind of thing just to get power into this world. And I was saying, let's just fight them and stop them from what they're trying to do. I've never given thought to this dream and until recently, because there is a lot of talking about Jesus Christ and the Egyptian kind of things. Isis and Osiris are coming out again, and there must be a connection towards these things. There must be some kind of truth towards these things. I still don't know, and I'm still researching. Even as I say right now, I have a very throbbing pain of headache on my left ear, behind my left ear. It's really throbbing. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share. I don't know if anyone else gets the same vibes when they watch this documentary of Isis and Osiris and feel the pain and feel as if it was just happening right in front of me. And yet I know there is nothing like gods and goddesses. I'm very sure about that. But at the same time, I'm also wondering what this kind of information could mean. Why am I guided to look it up? Why? Anyway, that's sort of personal, because Egypt and Egyptian history and everything has always been there all my life. Oh, these pyramids. Actually, the pyramids triangle. There used to be a professor who used to call me a pyramid. And if he only knew that I had Egyptian something in my blood, I wonder how he would have acted. Because he used to think, because according to architecture, triangle is one of the shapes that you cannot change once it's made. It's a stubborn-like kind of a character thing. And he used to find me stubborn. And that's why I guess that's why he called me a pyramid or triangle or something like that. But at the same time, it was a professor who I used to like and who used to support me a lot in the university. And I'm thankful and grateful for him. Anyway, that's all that I had, and I hope everyone is having a good day. Take care, everyone. And although I still don't know the meaning of what I've just put out, I will go on researching. Have a great day, everyone. God bless.